Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. We stayed up to watch the end of this kind of ridiculous Lions-Eagles game. And I don't know, Dan Campbell forgot how to coach because he has to call plays now and makes a bunch of bad decisions. I guess we should start with how good the Eagles defense was before we get to complaining about
They have an identity.
Yeah, they do have an identity. They are a team. It reminds me a little bit of that year when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They beat the 49ers, and it was just like just a dominant defense, and we were all singing Spags praises, and the offense never quite put it together. I guess it's different because it feels like this Eagles offense should be better, but they're not, but it doesn't really matter because this defense is suffocating people.
Not to Patrick Mahomes had an 87 QBR in the playoffs that year and was just lights out.
Well, we're not at the playoffs yet.
And that's what Jalen Hurts says too. I mean, look, this game is like, it's sort of, to your point, it's a Rorschach test of how you view football. Because if you wanted to nitpick and look at the Eagles from the other side of the ball, you could say like there are still some of the issues. There's a point, I don't have the numbers in front of me. Like Jalen Hurts is 3 of 12 at one point or something like that. There were still certain offensive issues. Lane Johnson went out with an injury again, when we've seen how much less effective the offense could be without that. But I think what we're learning is that this Eagles team is one, it's different from last year. And, Collinsworth was there at the end of the game being like, I wouldn't be too surprised if in a couple weeks these Saquon runs start blowing up as like they have positive game script and people are crowding the box. And he's right about that. But like objectively, the identity of this team is different than it was last year in a very noticeable way. And like the addition of Jalen Phillips, the way that the play they've gotten out of Ajomo, the way that they've brought Nolan Smith back, the linebackers and Nakobe Dean healthy, this defense, it's just, you're starting to look up, and it's not to overrate it because the NFC is a gauntlet this year, but you're starting to look and you're like, if you're taking the positive spin on this is a Super Bowl defense. Like you talk about later in the show, we talk about units we trust the most. This is a Super Bowl defense.
You haven't even gotten to my man Quinyon yet. I do feel like there's something brewing with defense.
They've been stable. I went to the unstable parts, the front seven, before I got to them.
Well, the front seven was awesome today. It was awesome last week, and I think.
Oh yeah, sorry, I meant early in the season before they got Jalen Phillips and all those guys rolling.
This has been kind of a season that feels very defense centric, I guess. Like I've been so impressed. And today it was driven home, but like the defenses are back this year for whatever reason. And in this game, I don't even think, to your point, you said we have to, if you want to take the positive spin on this, I think talking about the offense the Eagles offense might be a bit of a negative spin, but it is what we kind of have come to expect. So like, there's nothing about it that's worth saying that feels new. I guess the one thing that is new is they tried to force the ball to A.J. Brown a lot more this game, and it didn't have very different results for how effective their offense was. They got a lot.
How predictable is that?
Yeah, it was predictable, but I guess I would have assumed. It's funny because what most of us who've been critical of that offense, like, say get your playmakers the ball, but I think that's a shortcut to what you want to say is like be more creative and attack all areas of the field, because they did try to get AJ the ball and the result wasn't much better in this game than it's been offensively. And with the aggressiveness that Dan Campbell showed on fourth down, like the Eagles got a lot of favorable field position and still couldn't put that game away. And I think at some point, I have a hard time knowing what the conversation is going to be out of this game, because we had that bad call at the end, which was a pass interference that they called on Rock Ya-Sin, but I don't think that decides the game.
Call.
They were probably going to lose anyway. They're going to get the ball backed up and needed to drive the whole field with no timeouts against that defense.
And Jared Goff had been 2 of 18 on his last 18 passes up until that point, which was pointed out in the broadcast as well. So yes, the odds are in the Eagles' favor.
I think there is fair. We sing Dan Campbell's praises so often when we talk about this team. There's fair criticism now that he's calling the plays to talk about some of the decision making in this game. And I actually don't mind him being aggressive on fourth down until he wasn't. Like the one fourth down that you kind of have to go for, where you're 4th and 10 and you're down by 10 points. He chose not to go for it. Before the end of halftime, he decided not to call his timeouts to try to get the ball back and nailed it out rather than try to get points. Like, it was just confusing. It was almost like Dan Campbell, who's always on top of these things because he's focused on something else, that there's no one else who is focused on making these decisions. I don't know if that's too far to go, but it felt like that was missed out a little bit.
I feel like this has been the story of Campbell and like in notable losses at times where it's like, it's an aggression profile that, it was 5 turnovers on downs, 5 fourth downs in this game. It's an aggression profile that like analytically you have to stick to the entire time. And that's like a massive test of if you actually want to do it in these moments.
No, I mean, so the aggressiveness on fourth downs, I don't mind. The random like passiveness on 4th and 10 is the part that I mind. And kicking the field goal at the end, what was weird about that was he didn't kick the field goal until the Eagles called the timeout. It's 4th and 17. They got sacked back to a point where Dan Campbell at the end of the game was like, all right, maybe we don't kick the field goal here. And they sent his offense out there. Then the Eagles called the timeout after they got a look at his formation. Then they ran the offense, or they ran the field goal team back out there and kicked it. Like if the Eagles hadn't called that timeout, he would have made another mistake right there going for it on 4th and 17. So they hit the field goal and it gave him a chance, which led to the Eagles then, who also have like some curious 4th down decisions. If you go back to last week, they throw deep on 4th down.
Which they've done a lot. They've had a lot of shot plays on 4th downs.
When you think that they should run the clock out. And here again, it's like they throw a comeback, or it's more like a stop route, I guess, and they got bailed out incomplete rather than forcing the Lions to use their last timeout. They throw an incomplete pass to like one-on-one coverage with A.J. Brown, and they got bailed out by that horrible pass interference call on Rock Ya-Sin. When it seemed like A.J., if anybody, was creating, like A.J. didn't even complain. Like I think everyone was surprised by that. I'm not sure. I mean, it would have given them a chance, but these are some really weird decisions by teams that we think are not new to these. Teams that we know are not new to these situations and should probably be better in those situations.
I mean, moving forward, I feel like this is just going to be the story of the Eagles season. They're going to play a lot of these games. It's like very, very similar to the game they played last week, where the defense is improving and the offense they're going to play a bunch of games that they feel like the considerably better team, because that's what they felt like tonight. Even though it ended up being a very close game. And that's what it felt like against the Packers too. They felt considerably better. And like, I think that we just need to adjust our expectations. So this is their style of play. This is their identity. And it doesn't even feel fluky. Like I promise you we could have a conversation about 1-score games and the fact that they have a really good record and blah, 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 and the numbers of it. But there almost feels like an intentionality to this. To your point, you brought up the Chiefs earlier. That was like the story of the Chiefs for these several years. They're just really good in these 1-score games. And the same for the Lions. Like, we're going to see explosive play out of Goff and like Jameson Williams, who had the one drag route they took to the house and then, jumped on the goalpost. Like, I don't really have any major concerns about this team either, other than like, maybe a brain fart from Campbell, but it's in it tonight, but I don't think that's like a lingering thing. He's a really good coach and that's a really good team.
Yeah, there's one last thing that I want to touch on before we move on to Bill Barnwell and the rest of the slate is, I think you mentioned Lane Johnson's injury. You didn't mention the center also got injured and they failed on a couple of tush pushes.
Yeah.
Which
they got pushed backwards.
Right. Which was, that was another 4th down confusing decision when you're up by 10 points and you're backed up in your own territory, which gave the Lions a chance to get back in this game rather than punt the ball. They thought that they could succeed on a tush push with their backup center. So I think those injuries will matter going forward for their offense.
Oh, yeah. Their line is like, it's amazing that their line is still above average with the injuries they've had to it. Jurgensen's banged up, Dickerson's banged up, Lane's hurt again for the second week. There were the numbers before of like Lane Johnson out of the lineup, what that team is. And it's like, yeah, their margin is now nothing, because last year it felt like they had 5 all-pro linemen, and now it's like the left half of their line is fine. The right half is so banged up, but it's almost remarkable that they're an above average unit with the injuries they've taken.
All right. Appreciate you, Charlie. Let's get to the rest of the games with our buddy Bill Barnwell. Off top, Charlie.
Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner have played 16 tennis matches. They have played 3,302 points. Each one of them have won 1,651 points.
Play the music, I guess.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. See, Bill, that's why I can't hand off.
No. You're not starting the gaslighting.
Can't do it.
They're not.
It's a football Sunday.
He couldn't find
it's
an
a
off
football
top.
Sunday.
He couldn't.
I could find an off top.
Do you want me to do it again?
Bill,
I can do a
no,
better one.
I don't want to do it again.
Mo Berg retired from professional baseball to be a spy. Is that a better off top?
Nope. Too late. I would prefer to make fun of you because on a football Sunday, you want to talk about King Los and Yannick Center. It's unacceptable. Right, Bill?
It's mid-November. It's not even tennis season, Charlie.
This morning was the finals of the ATP finals.
It's always tennis season in Charlie's heart.
That's fair.
You got to be a real sicko to be grinding the indoor season.
You look nice today, too. It's sad. You got us off on the wrong foot, even though you got on real clothes today. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You layered? That's impressive.
I'm shocked Charlie's not recording this from Bradenton or some other like tennis enclave.
At IMG, just out there serving it up.
Send me on a
studio.
Send me on a pre-retirement to go play tennis in Bradenton or somewhere. No, we have a lot of football.
We do. A lot of football.
Great football. You can make fun of me along the way as much as you want. Don't we will.
That's how I show you love. Like, don't start acting weird, Charlie. We both understand that the language of affection between a lot of sports age men, what is that? A lot of men who grew up in sports is like insults. You know that I make fun of you because I love you.
It's true.
Do I qualify at 41 as a sports age man? I'm unclear.
All right, one mistake. Count my first one. Count it. One mistake on me. I didn't mean sports age. I meant guys who grew up playing sports. That's how you show love. You make fun of each other, and then you change their name, and then they get a nickname, and then you can't explain the nickname to anybody else because it's offensive.
Seahawks Rams.
All right.
So you're listening to this. You probably time traveled. Me and Domonique have talked to you about Eagles Lions. So we're going to start with the other marquee game in the NFC.
Yeah.
And I think we should talk about the game itself, all the things that happened, the Rams defensive line, how it ended up coming down to a 61-yard field goal from the Seahawks. But we'll get there. I do think we have to start, in broad terms, pushing this story forward to the thing that has been lingering over this awesome Seahawks season, that's been lingering over Sam Darnold since his last two performances as a Minnesota Viking last season, which is he can kind of turn into a pumpkin, little pumpkin from time to time. And he had 4 interceptions today against an incredible Rams defense. And I just want to ask you before we break down the minutiae of the game, did his performance change how you view the Seahawks long term?
I think the answer for me is yes. I think for a lot of people, this is a I told you so opportunity, which like I saw the Sam Darnold performances last year. So like I could recognize that people would be willing to say that. But I also was held out some hope that much of his career was we didn't get a real look at him. And last year we got our first real look at him, and he had 2 bad games in big moments, and possibly that those were just 2 bad games in big moments. And now that Sam Darnold has finally gotten in situations that are advantageous for him, because this year he's been playing really well. It's not like last year where we could say like it's a lot of KOC, it's a great offensive line, and it's just that ridiculous turnover happy defense. And the situation was great last year. This year they didn't have much of a running game, and he was putting up numbers. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be him in his second real year as a football quarterback, and the big game thing is not a problem. And I got a hard time. The sample size is still kind of small as far as big games with this new Sam Darnold, but I'm going to have a hard time believing him after yesterday. So I think that my answer is yes. It's kind of changed my opinion because I held out like there was a question mark for me of what would happen to him in those situations. It's hard for me to still maintain that question mark.
I have a question before I answer Charlie's question. Is it better or worse that it was the Rams in the postseason game last year and the Rams here? Because you can make a case, hey, listen, Sam Darnold's been great all year. Maybe just this Rams team is just a bad fit for him in some ways. Or is it just that it was the team that Sam Darnold knew he had to face after that game last year? He should have spent all year thinking about how he was going to play in this game. And then he was pretty stinky when he needed to be good.
Well, my answer would be it was also the Lions last year. It wasn't just the Rams. And
that's true.
And I would be willing to say that it's better if it were, I don't know, the Browns, somebody that there's no chance that he's going to have to see in the playoffs. Like, that's really what makes it hard is like, if the Rams are your kryptonite, it's a real bad team to be your kryptonite because you're going to have to beat them to win the division. You're obviously going to likely have to go through them also to win the Super Bowl.
I guess the question I'm asking is like, we're sort of putting this all on Sam Darnold as like, oh, Sam turned into a pumpkin. Sam, played a good defense, turned into a pumpkin.
He did throw 4 interceptions.
Is it just that listen, the man looks orange and he's about 2 weeks late. I'm not saying there's no pumpkin related facilities happening here. But what I am saying is that we're sort of ascribing it to him and not the Rams defense. And so I sort of wonder, like, is it unfair to say that this is a Sam Darnold thing as opposed to just the Rams defense playing an awesome game against any quarterback, and the quarterback they just happen to be facing today is Sam Darnold?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you're proposing something that's interesting is that we came in with this question, so we were going to answer that question no matter what, and maybe the answer to the question is the Rams defense is great. I think both things can be true, but the Rams defense, as good as they've been this year, probably the best in football, if not for the Seahawks. They're probably neck and neck statistically, I would guess.
The Rams?
Yeah, with the best defenses in football, so that's fine, but other quarterbacks have had success against them, so it's not impossible. Like, they aren't undefeated. So I don't know. I get your point. That's fair, but none of that matters. I think the reason why it's significant to me is because I enter this season holding out some hope that Sam Darnold was a guy that could potentially elevate. He's not the type of quarterback that could only win a Super Bowl if everything around him works out. I don't feel that way anymore. While I do believe that it's possible he could lead a game-winning drive or game-tying drive like he almost did in this game, like it's possible, but I think through the course of an entire game, it's going to be unlikely that when you have to play probably 4 good teams in a row, it's hard to imagine that Sam Darnold is going, with this Seahawks team, is going to be able to come through every single time.
And one of those teams, to your point, is probably going to be the Los Angeles Rams. To answer Charlie's question, I would say that it doesn't change how I viewed Sam Darnold. And I don't want to do the I told you so thing. It's just like this has always been part of the equation. I think it's fair to say Sam Darnold, the upside, the ceiling for Sam Darnold has changed because of the point Domonique made a moment ago, which was that last year, it was pretty strongly the defense. It was pretty strongly Justin Jefferson. There were all these reasons you could point to and say, okay, this is not Sam Darnold driving the offense. This is Sam Darnold along for the ride. Sam Darnold's been driving the offense this year. They have not been a great running team. It has been a heavy personnel team, and Greg Olsen went off in this game and went off on Twitter about how they're a much better throwing team than running team in those spots. And we saw the Rams adjust to that and play more nickel, play more dime, actually, in this game against the Rams against the Seahawks with a lot of success. But there's always been that thing of if the Seahawks have to play from behind, it's a problem. If the Seahawks have to make Sam Darnold into a drop back passer, it's going to be a problem. Sam Darnold has rarely trailed this season, and certainly not by double-digit points in the first half the way he did in this game, which, and to be fair, was partly his fault. But Sam Darnold in this game, with play action, 9 of 10 for 67 yards. Admittedly, that one incompletion was an interception, but still pretty good numbers from Sam Darnold with play action. 20 of 34 for 205 and 3 picks without play action. That, to me, is the problem. That has not changed. That's always been there, even for this version of Sam Darnold. But we've gone from saying, like sort of high highs and pretty low lows, for me to say, okay, really high highs and really low lows. And unfortunately, we got the really low lows because of the game situation today.
First of all, I'm really glad you brought up the Rams defense, because I do think that's like a story that deserves credit. Both of these defenses are ridiculous, and like to put it all on Sam Darnold is probably wrong.
Right.
With that said, doesn't this just feel like one of those games where like all of the like ball knowers, whether it's a former player, tape guy, analytics person, they're all of these things that people were drooling over, like schematically, matchups, guys who were like underappreciated. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, it was just like a casual would be like, well, one of these teams has Matt Stafford and the other one has Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what happens in everything?
Like, you're talking about like, it's literally like the horseshoe theory of it.
Exactly. Like it seems really simple, then it gets super complicated and you get around to some other simple way of viewing it. So, I mean, we can go down into all the personnel and all the shifts. And I saw the Seahawks break out a motion to shift, which I hadn't seen before. It's like they started a guy in motion and then it turned into a shift, which like, why why it matters to a defense is like you adjust differently to motions and to shifts. And I was like, ooh,
God forbid the Seahawks have a little motion.
Gosh, I'm in the middle of letting people in. So you pretended as if you wanted me to go deep into the X's and O's. I start going, and you heard motion, and you got tingling
so
inside,
bad.
And you was like, bad. I can't wait to get this terrible takeoff. Or not terrible joke off.
It ruined the momentum.
No. You know what you did? You just ended the motion. I had some motion, and you ruined it with your false start.
God forbid.
A legal procedure. Anyway, the point, I actually loved it. It was funny. It's funny now because it was so bad. But the point I was making is we could go into all of that stuff, but I think ultimately, like, the rules have changed to a way that the quarterbacks are going to matter a lot. And the quarterback's performance is dependent on a lot of these other things also, and like the schemes and the motions and the personnels. But they have a quarterback who doesn't seem to be as flappable, who's in a really good situation. But I mean, I think the credit to the defense matters. They play him again in December 18th. That'll be another chance to see what Sam Darnold can do. But I think there's also one positive to walk away from this game from is the Seahawks defense is so good.
It's ridiculous.
That they were still in the game. They had four turnovers to none.
They lost 21-19.
Yeah.
With their quarterback having the day that we all feared the most. Like, and it actually, not saying a 61-yard field goal is a coin flip, no matter how good the kickers have gotten, unless you have Brandon Aubrey or Cam Little, then it's, they're going to make that kick. That's a layup for them. But like, if you're a Seahawks fan, you lost by 2, and this is the nightmare game. If he plays adequate football protecting it, and which is just making the smart decision, not the jump pass interception, not the third down interception in the red area, not the 1st and 20 interception where he's just forcing the ball, they probably win that game, or at least it's like a completely different script.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams had 3 drives that started in Seahawks territory in the second half when they could have blown this game away, when they could have taken a bigger lead, and they scored 7 points on those 3 drives. This Seahawks defense was awesome. And frankly, I'll be honest with you, Matthew Stafford did not play his best game either. There were some drops, there were some sloppy throws, there were some misses. It wasn't like Matthew Stafford was, Jalen Hurts postseason quarterback, to pick a player here. Like, he was okay, it's just he wasn't a disaster the way that Sam Darnold was. And I think what you noticed here and what Matthew Stafford gives you is the ability to have a plan B. For the Rams in this game, I'm going to bring up a nerd thing. I know Domonique brought up one. Charlie will have to fire off some jokes about 13 personnel in this game. But that was the big thing coming in, right? The Rams are going to they played 13 personnel like half the time last week. Total shift from them playing 11 personnel. So moving from 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end to 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 3 tight ends. They had a 17% success rate out of 13 personnel. They had to basically get off of that and play 11 personnel and use their old 3 wide receiver sets and all the run game stuff and all the play action stuff built off that. And they had enough success doing that they were able to win this game. But the Seahawks never really found that counterpunch. Like, it was basically the same stuff and just hoping they had better success or that Sam didn't turn the ball over. And they'd have a touchdown drive later on, but generally it was kind of the same results throughout the entire game. So that, I think, is the difference. That's what having a Matthew Stafford who can create a structure gives you. But the Seahawks defense was phenomenal. They were every bit, if not better, than the Rams were in this game, just without the turnover throws because their other quarterback didn't give them as many opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks defense is really impressive. We don't give as much attention, obviously, to the defensive masterminds that we do to the offensive masterminds. But I think that whole defense by Mike McDonald is really impressive. And the combination, what you need from a defense, I guess this is fair, both offenses also, is like the ability to be mentally locked in all the time and not make a lot of mistakes while also hitting out of people, for lack of a better terminology. It's like it's hard to do. It's like the Houston Texans. It's hard to have this crazy defense that runs downhill and blows people up, but also is not susceptible to the play action or the misdirection plays. Like, it's a tough thing to pull off, to be a disciplined defense that also just like runs downhill like they got an alter ego and blows everything up.
There he goes. Like the second you said crazy defense, I knew you were thinking about the Texans, comparing it to the Texans.
I love them so much.
do too.
They're so fun. They're so fun. I don't know if I'm allowed to love them in public because it's only a matter of time before they do something that requires us all to wring our hands on TV. There's only a matter of time before they do something that we all have to say. There's no place for this in football.
Aziz is getting itchy. He's just like, man, I haven't been suspended in like 6 weeks. I gotta my quarterback has a concussion and I didn't give it to him. Oh man.
I'll have you guys know, I'm gonna come on TV and say there's no place for that in football. But I want you to know that in the deep recesses of my mind,
there's a place for it in your heart.
I couldn't do it. I wish I could. I couldn't. I did it in high school a lot.
They've already played the Jaguars twice.
It's just they got to get somebody.
Wild card game.
Oh, yeah.
They play the Colts twice down the stretch.
Ooh,
Danny Dimes, be careful out there.
Oh no!
I love Indiana.
I will say one other difference. One thing that might have changed this game that Mike McDonald has to change. You have to be more aggressive. I know you didn't trust Sam Darnold in this game, but Sean McVay won this game by getting aggressive. He went for it 3 times on 4th and 1 in the first quarter of this game, something he has never done as a head coach. He's gone for it less than 3 times in an entire season in the first quarter of games. Did it 3 times. They score in this game. Mike McDonald kicked a bunch on 4th and short in this game. Don't know if that made the entire difference, but you cannot leave those opportunities on the field. And you can't leave that win expectancy on the field if you're the Seahawks.
I assume that maybe someone's done some research at some point about defensive head coaches' aggressiveness, but I get the sense that defensive head coaches are a lot more conservative than offensive head coaches. That's the one thing that I would say is a knock on my defensive brethren. Otherwise, they're the best coaches in football.
I think you're a special teams coaches guy.
It's only one. I mean, that's my theory. That's
your theory. That you've heard this theory, right, Bill?
Yeah, of course he has. Everyone's heard all my theories.
Okay. Well, just for the audience, if you haven't heard the theory, Domonique thinks that special team coaches are the best NFL head coaches because they have to motivate NFL players to play on special teams, which is a Herculean task. So it shows you can manage a position group.
That's a terrible. I wasn't going to get into it because I knew that you were going to mess it up. Just understand that is a poor representation of how I feel.
Domonique was on Get Up being like, Joe Judge is going to fix the Giants.
Oh man, that's too stupid for anyone to believe.
Yeah, gotta hand it to you. That was a good take.
I never said that.
Are you? I don't know. I think you might have said it.
Judge?
No
chance.
I will say, I won't get into it. But the Commanders' kick return team is really good. I was googling. I was like, oh, Larry Izzo, potential future head coach. But I digress.
Charlie, did you actually get up to watch that game this morning?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gotta watch his Mandos lose.
You don't Bill. You don't get it. That's like my watching this team being a disgrace is my lifeblood again. It's like
it's like it feels like home to him. It was weird. Last year was weird. He didn't like it so much.
Yeah, last year I had all this bravado that I wanted to be real that was fake, and now I'm back.
Last year you had that bravado week 5, Charlie.
Yeah, he did have something. Yeah, it was all fake.
It was all fake.
He's back to who he really is.
Yeah, big old loser. All right, let's go to another team that's a loser today. The Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
They're 5-5. Look, I'm gonna go hand up. A couple weeks ago, they sucked me back in. It's like this offense. They're back. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
And Bill threw some cold water on both of us because I was back in and he was like, hey, remember? This isn't how it works. And he was right.
Yeah. Well, they lost to the Broncos, with Pat Surtain. The defense looked really good, but the Chiefs,
without Pat Surtain.
Sorry, without Pat Surtain. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to go to this. Who are the Chiefs? What is this team? Are they good? This is a crazy day in the AFC. We'll zoom out on all of that, but let's start with the Chiefs.
I mean, I want to start with Bill so I can agree with him on this because obviously he understands this Chiefs teams better than I do. So what do you think, Bill?
Looking at my crystal ball.
Okay.
Imagining as the prognosticator, the man who said the Chiefs would win 16 games last year before Carson Wentz took it away from me. Yeah. The man who said the Chiefs would decline this year because their record of one-score games would not recur. Did say they win the Super Bowl, so let's leave that one aside for now. Maybe we'll see if we can get back to that one in a few weeks. I I don't think this Chiefs team is all that different from last year. I really don't. I think this is like 95% as good, just with the worst possible luck and the worst possible timing. And last year, their team had the best possible luck and the best possible timing. And there are flaws with this team. Patrick Mahomes throwing interceptions in the red zone is a problem. You heard Chris Jones after the game say basically on that 3rd and 15 that Bo Nix, who by the way was excellent in this game, that Bo Nix converted, that they were calling out the rush the Chiefs were going to pull off before the play, which not a great sign if the Broncos are calling out what you're going to do in a key spot of the game where you can get the ball back with a chance to win. But I really don't think this is a dramatically different team. And that's both like a weird compliment and a weird insult, because that Chiefs team was flawed last year. And we talked about it every week. We were like, oh, well, just they're a pain in the and they're incredibly frustrating, but they're always going to pull this off. And it doesn't make them a bad team now that they're not pulling it off, but it does sort of reveal that this team has not really been great for over a year now. It's been kind of above average, maybe good, maybe sometimes really good if they get everyone together at the same time and they don't get in their own way. Really good at stretches, but really it's just like a kind of above average team that really rides their luck in one direction or another.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's frustrating for me is like last year, the whole time I could see so obviously that eventually they're going to have to pay the price for not being as good a team as their record suggested. And they never really did until the Super Bowl. And at that point, it's too late. You make it to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like the rest of us who were saying, and you knock off the teams that you have to on the way to. The rest of us seem silly. So like, it's annoying to feel like I was right all of last year and for it not to matter. And then this year be like, oh no, they put a couple good games together. They protect Mahomes, and I'm like, he's back. And then I look up and it's like, oh no, now they're not good anymore. Like that, I think that's what's confusing to me is like, I think I understand what I'm seeing and I thought I saw it. And I understand the O-line was an issue. They brought Simmons back today. I thought that would be a difference maker, but not against this defense, this defensive front in particular. But without Surtain, I think if Surtain's there, this game might be worse. And honestly, like, I feel like the Broncos outplayed them. It wasn't like a close game that went the Broncos' way. Yeah. That's what is shocking to me is there's a number of games this year that it feels like the Chiefs are just getting beaten. And yeah, the score could have been worse. At least in my view, the Broncos were the better team today.
You're right. But I think you could go back last year, and I don't have the tape of the Domonique Foxworth Show, but I think after that Chiefs-Broncos game last year where they were going to kick the identical 35-yard field goal to win, I would bet if you play the tape, we said the Broncos played better in this game than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are magic and pulled it out. And it's not because, you know, they're a bad team now, but just they've been getting outplayed consistently, routinely by teams that they should not be getting outplayed by. Some of their losses this year have not been that great. Losing to the Chargers, losing to the Jags. Those are teams that they should be better than, and they're not. Those games weren't flukes.
It's just incredibly bizarre, like historically bizarre that you have a quarterback who's, by all accounts, the first, second, third best quarterback we've ever seen, and he should be in his absolute prime. And this is now an annual discussion. This is 3 years in a row of like, what's wrong with the Chiefs offense? Why doesn't this work? And it's like, I do not want to believe that we'll never see like an ultra explosive Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense ever again. But it is weird that like this that we haven't seen a full season put together in a few years of them. And they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago and made the Super Bowl last year. But still, like during the regular season, it's also like, we're not crazy for having the discussion. It'd be crazy not to have the discussion. We're not the weird ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you don't have any answer for it.
He bounced the ball off Rashee Rice's face mask today, which is a crazy throw.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's what jumps out too, is like, he's still obviously very good. There's nothing about him.
It's the best.
Yeah, that seems like this shouldn't happen. And then they get back these receivers who we believe are also good.
There's something you guys are missing, though. And I think there was a meaningful explanation why we've been sitting here for a couple of years saying, well, there's something missing. Back when they were at their best, even into the first year without Tyreek Hill, they had Travis Kelce playing out of his mind. They had the thing that Patrick Mahomes could fall back on. And earlier this year, the last time we were having the sort of like, oh no, the Chiefs are broken discussion, the thing I keep coming back to is, okay, what's your core thing? What is the thing you can fall back on? Because there's so many teams in the NFL where, like, look at the Broncos, for example. Their offense is nowhere near as good as the Chiefs. but they can get to their boot game. They can get to their naked game. They can get Bo Nix on the run. That's at least something they can say, okay, it's not always going to work, but at least we have something we can fall back on as our core thing. Earlier this year, it was Mahomes scrambling. It was just him deciding he wanted to be Marshawn Lynch and truck stick everyone he saw. And that's fine. That's not something you want to do for an entire season. They don't have that thing. Kelsey's not that player. He had a couple drops in this game. He's had drops for interceptions this year. Rashee Rice was in and out of the game, even without Patrick Surtain in the lineup. Xavier Worthy has not been good for the vast majority of the year. I don't think he's 100% after coming back from the injury he suffered early in the year. They don't reliably run the football. Schematically or on the field, they don't reliably run the football. It's all Mahomes. It's Mahomes magic, and that is, you can win a lot of close games that way if things go your way, but there's just not that thing that in the past with Hill, with Kelsey, with the run game at times, they could fall back on and say, okay, like we're going to do this and screw you if you can't stop it. There's just not that thing for them right now.
It's a rough AFC altogether. Like,
I don't know who's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because it's broken my brain. Like, because we want, because of institutional stability, to think the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens are the best teams in the conference because they've been the best team in the conference for 7 years, ish. But and then you look at the top of the conference and it's Colts, Broncos, Patriots, and we don't want to totally buy into the Daniel Jones thing. Thanks, Sam Darnold, for that one. We don't want to,
and also thanks Daniel Jones for that one too.
Yeah, why? Daniel Jones is doing a totally fine job of ruining the Daniel Jones aura himself. He does not need to take blame for Sam Darnold as well.
That's a good point. Sorry, Sam. That was uncalled for. My bad. But some of the same stuff with Bo Nix in that Broncos defense, and the Patriots stuff is so new, and their schedule has been favorable, regardless what the metrics saying is close to the league average as possible. Where it's it just feels like there's no great team in the AFC.
Because there isn't. Yeah, I mean, I think we are coming off of a run of where it felt like the Ravens were the great team the last several years, but they couldn't quite get over the hump in the playoffs. But even they seem really flawed, and the Lamar injury mattered. But today's game against the Browns, they had so many mistakes.
And by the way, we need to call out Bill before we get there. You were right that you thought Lamar looked banged up last week, because then he missed practice on Wednesday with knee soreness, and then today. I mean, he's still Lamar Jackson, don't get me wrong, but this was he seemed clearly not 100% watching him today, and then continue.
Wait,
so I wanted to give Bill credit for being right.
You set me up by saying you were calling me out. That's a bad thing. I
meant just said shout out. Shout out to Bill. Slip of the tongue.
Big difference. I was so angry. I'm like,
no, I was positive. I was like, this is ball knower Bill who spotted it before everyone else.
Charlie, I've already had to come into the show figuring out how you were going to yell at me for the result of the Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert game, and how I was somehow going to get blamed for whoever lost that game dramatically. I'm still on Justin Herbert stress mode right now.
I just didn't even put it in the rundown.
I mean, the Lamar Jackson question. Their issues in the red zone are shocking given the personnel that they have. But also in this game, they jumped off sides on a punt. There was giving the Browns a new set of downs. They had a muffed punt fumble that gave the Browns the ball in the red zone. It's just these type of mistakes also.
Six.
Yeah, through a pick six. These type of mistakes on top of, it was a drop pass that bounced off a helmet and ended up interception and giving the Browns a touchdown. It's just these type of mistakes in a win that they get away with, but it's on top of every game this season. They haven't really seemed like they're that good, and the AFC just feels like it's there to be taken, but the people who we expect to take it aren't taking it.
Okay, so if you have a problem, one way to solve it is to split it in half. There's no good team in the AFC. If you feel confident about half a team in the AFC, half an offense or half a defense, is there any unit in the AFC you feel more confident about right now than the Broncos defense, which has been great for half a year, going back to last year, and they've now done it without Patrick Surtain for the last few weeks? Given that we don't think any of these teams are perfect, they all have flaws, I'm looking for anything I can feel confident in right now. And I can feel confident the Broncos defense is going to either keep them in games or outright win them games. And they got a good performance from Bo Nix today. It wasn't like they needed to win it the way they did against the Raiders last week. Right. But I feel really confident the Broncos defense is going to be terrifying. And right now it looks like you're going to have to go to Denver if you want to beat them in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's still the quarterback question that hangs over them. But I mean, I think that's a fair way to go about it. But I think ultimately this is a good thing for you to say right now. But it's going to be really hard for me, I assume for you also, when they are playing one of those quarterbacks, when they are playing the Bills in the playoffs.
That's future Bill's problem.
Okay, so today Bill's not worried about it. Future Bill is a little concerned about what's going to happen when he has to pick Bo Nix over Josh Allen, who was wild today.
Yeah,
it was wild in all directions.
Yeah, I as great was in my head, and then good wild said, "Whoa, scoot over." Great isn't the right adjective. Wild is the right adjective.
Do you want to get to the Josh Allen part of it?
Sure.
By the way, before we do, Bill, do you know who the betting favorite to win the AFC is right now?
I would guess the Bills.
That was my guess as well. It's the Colts.
Nice.
Woo.
Shocker.
Wild, right?
People betting money on things.
I mean, I would bet on that Colts run game as much as I mean, it's just part of a unit, but it's a great run game. All right, put your hands up.
Throw them up.
It's time for the Good Hands plays presented by Allstate. You're in good hands with Josh Allen. You talked about the wildness of this, and we'll get into the game specifics. But there were legitimate questions about that Bills offense, and rightfully so. But what did he do? He came into this game against a Bucs team that, they're banged up, but it's a team with pedigree, and he put 6 touchdowns on the board. You are in good hands with Josh Allen. What did you think of that Josh Allen performance?
I told you, wild. Like the 6 touchdowns, you can't argue with those results. But it was also the chest pass from your own end zone interception. Like that was weird. The late throw that ended in a turnover in the middle of the field against man coverage was a little shocking. But I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he put that kind of unpredictable or more bad than good Josh Allen away a long time ago. But I do think that he has to turn up the aggressiveness. I think recognizing that defense is as porous, I guess, as it has been in this game, you're going to get some of this Josh Allen aggressiveness, which is going to come with the turnovers. So, it's completely forgivable and fun, especially when you end up controlling that game at the end.
Look at Dominique's just like Josh Allen went into his closet, pulled out the leather jacket he hasn't worn in 3 years.
He did.
Some really cheap sunglasses he bought at the gas station, and he's like, it's 2021 Josh Allen or 2020 Josh Allen all over again, baby.
No.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was.
No, I know that Josh Allen.
Pretty wild.
That Josh Allen didn't score 6 touchdowns while turning the ball over. This is a different type.
He does one chest pass, and you're just like, okay.
No, I said the other. I said he's turning up the aggressiveness. I like it. I'm positive on it. It's different.
So do you think this was a stylistic, an actual choice Josh Allen and the Bills made of screw it, our defense is not good enough. We have to be in shootouts every week from this point forward, and we trust that we can win shootouts because we have this freaking quarterback. And that's not. I don't think that's crazy or wrong.
Yeah, I think that. Absolutely, this is a decision. Yeah, it feels absolutely this is a decision that this defense, he can't do anything to help the defense. You have to turn to the aggressiveness. I mean, I think the chest pass from the end zone, maybe not. But in general, I think Josh Allen is playing a little bit more aggressive, especially because the receivers that he has are not particularly special in the run game, can't win every game for them.
Well, let's get into this. They have really struggled, Bill, you brought this up, that they've really struggled when the game script's not been in their favor. Their run defense looks like a fatal flaw for this team, where even today against third string running back and Sean Tucker, they're giving up another 100-yard rusher. And I want to ask this, every win in the NFL is a good win. But is it possible that if you're a Bills fan, you would be discouraged about where this team is at despite beating this Bucs team? Just because we saw the positives and the flaws on display.
The Bills fans I know are happier about Chiefs losses than they are about Bills victories. So my guess is this was a net positive day for them. But you can totally make that case because you're sort of you almost need Josh Allen to have 4-5 touchdown games every week for this to work out. And I mean, if anybody can do it, it's him. He's a crazy person. But this was a game where he had to put the team on his back. James Cook ran for 40 yards in this game. Keon Coleman was a healthy scratch because did he miss a meeting or something, or he some kind of upsetting Sean McDermott. They were at Gabe Davis, Tyrell Shavers for big play, getting meaningful snaps in this game. McCole Hardman was playing meaningful snaps for the Bills in this game. Like, this is the reality of what the Bills are. Like, they need Josh Allen to be a superhero, whereas in the past, Josh Allen was capable of being a superhero, right, but they had enough of a defense and they were forcing turnovers frequently enough that it would make his life a little bit easier. Now it just doesn't feel like that's the case. So I would say, it's a win that you could be concerned about.
Yeah, and I think that I've come to learn the longer that I've been in this profession is that the fans of the team that you're talking about, they know better than you know. And they may not want to hear you saying it, but they understand what their team is. So, like, if you think, I don't think that they're Bills fans who woke up today or woke up this morning looking at the game yesterday and were like, oh my gosh, this was such a terrible win. We now have concerns about our defense. Like, no, those people were concerned. They were not surprised by what happened that game. Yeah. They're happy to see that Josh Allen can still win no matter what. They know what they're looking at.
But they definitely came into this season being like, we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, then, like, every step of it. Yeah, and they still could, obviously, but, like, every step of it, you're just like, oh, a lot of these problems are actually amplified from years past, right, with the defense, with the skill position guys. And it's a bummer. Like, this is, like, we thought that the hurdle was going to be Mahomes, and obviously it still is Mahomes for these guys, but, like, it also feels like with the changing in the AFC, like, the hurdle and the challenges are changing, and this Bills team has had years that they're going to look back on and be like, damn, we didn't get over the hump when we were a lot better than we are this year.
But let's combine this segment we just did. We're all like, is anybody good in the AFC?
Yeah.
Like, the bar is not as high as it was in recent years. You don't have to have a top 10 defense and Josh Allen to beat the other teams in the AFC. You don't have to have a top 10 defense and Lamar Jackson to beat the teams in the AFC. You might only have to be great on one side of the ball and just not a total disaster on the other side of the ball to make it out of the AFC this year. So that could play in the Bills' favor.
If they played Indy in a playoff game, would you feel comfortable backing the Bills, knowing that Jonathan Taylor is going to go for what? 230? 230 and 3?
That's a real bad matchup for them. That's a real bad matchup. I don't know.
The thing is with the Bills is, if there's any team that can get up 21-0 on the Colts and force them into the exact game that Sam Darnold had today, it's the Buffalo Bills, right?
I don't know. I don't know about that one, Jeff.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we're talking about the big three, so to speak, in the AFC, like, and how they all are kind of down right now, if you're going to look at one of those three quarterbacks and say there's one quarterback that if everything breaks down around them can kind of make offense, then I think I feel like the Bills fans have some confidence there. Not that he's the best, but in any situation, that big, strong-armed water buffalo of a man is probably gives them a little bit more confidence. And I think we've seen Patrick Mahomes with no help. It looks pretty, but it's a lot less effective than I think Josh Allen in that situation.
Can you imagine how many design runs Josh Allen is going to have in the postseason this year?
Oh, so many.
It's going to be like every third. He's going to run like 20. He's going to get more carries than Jonathan Taylor in that game. Jackson Dart's going to be watching and be like, whoa, Josh, chill out, buddy. You're going to get hurt.
Careful. Protect yourself.
Did you see Jackson Dart today at the game with Scatabo?
No.
Scatabo's just scooting around. Jackson Dart had a ridiculous, they're even fun when they don't play.
Oh, gosh. You love them so much.
I think I would say at this point, maybe more fun when they don't play, given that
you definitely feel safer about them.
Yeah. Yes.
You want to do the same thing with J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams?
Yeah, less fun. I mean, you know when you like baby-proof a house, you put things over the corners? Mm-hmm. It feels like the Giants need to do that for their facility. But okay, let's talk about this. Say like the Bears won. They're 7-3. Talk about, we'll get to the lucky or good conversation with them. But today was a really rough one for J.J. McCarthy, and he's been kind of like. They all are, except for that one quarter. That we'll always have that moxie quarter, a couple moxie quarters.
It was a standalone game early in the season too. We had us
won
believing
against Caleb.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I remember.
But today was really rough, and like it looks like he is so behind and doesn't have command of the offense that like that's leading to a lot of the accuracy issues. And you know, you have KOC, who's been a quarterback whisperer. This team has looks like they've got Flores. They have a good defense. They have Justin Jefferson and Addison. But I really, and it's early, especially like I'm really obfuscating around this. But how long of a leash are they going to have for JJ McCarthy moving forward?
I think he's quarterback the rest of the season. Yeah. I think they'll probably bring somebody in the offseason, try to figure out how to bring some competition in or someone else to start if things don't get a lot better very, very soon. But I don't think there's any reasonable expectation that they're going to make a change with J.J. McCarthy anytime soon. I mean, is Carson Wentz healthy?
No. This would be Max Brosmer. I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce this. I've only read it and actually heard it said out loud before. Domonique, the only reason I would say otherwise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you were the expert here and not me on this very topic, if you have Justin Jefferson and the locker room saying basically we're wasting time with this guy, would that maybe lead them to be more aggressive making a change?
I think it depends. Max Brosner is the question. Like, I don't think that Justin Jefferson is not going to be like clamoring for Max. I think that's the problem. It's too late to do anything else about it. I don't know. There's no Joe Flacco sitting around out there to be brought back for people to get excited about. I don't know who the quarterback they would bring in, but my assumption is that they would not push for Max.
Back a recurring star from the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Who that is?
Pasternak.
Can I pitch one?
He was good there.
Can I pitch one?
Go ahead.
Mac Jones.
Well, they're not going to get him this year.
No, it'll be next year. But
they're
talking guys from the offseason. Yeah. But we also need to put context for how bad it was today.
Yeah.
30% of his throws are off target. He is minus 0.37 EPA per play. The Vikings, and this is from Phil Mackey, have now called 16 pass plays this season on 3rd and 4th and short with JJ McCarthy as a quarterback. He has 0 completions. Like, this is really rough. This genuinely, the accuracy is at moments looks Richardsonian. Like, it genuinely does. And like, that is, I like what you're thinking, Bill. I like what you're thinking, Bill.
Kevin O'Connell did have that talk with Anthony Richardson after he got benched last year where he said, you're going to be in the league for a long time. What he didn't say was that you're going to be in the league a long time competing with JJ McCarthy for the Minnesota Vikings starting job. No, you're right. And we saw him get booed off the field by his home fans multiple times this game. He also led a game-winning drive for a touchdown. Like we're leaving that part out. And I'm not saying that it was a good game.
He threw a dime.
He did. He drove him down the field.
Participated in
a 2-minute drill. It wasn't like they had like 60 yards on draws. Like it was a 2-minute drill where he's throwing the ball. It's all completion.
Oh no! I guess so. In my mind, I was thinking about the drive that actually did win the game, which was a Duvernay. Yeah,
Caleb sitting quietly on the bus.
Right.
Well, does that count? Not butching.
Does that count if when they say next? Because they said Caleb's had 4 game-winning drives. They go to 5 next week. Caleb's had 5 game-winning drives.
Oh, it counts. Duvernay doesn't get credit for that.
That's awesome. That's like the best way to be a part of a group project.
Doesn't take away anything you said about JJ McCarthy.
Right.
But again, I say this after every JJ McCarthy start. If you don't like JJ McCarthy, you got a lot of stuff and a lot of evidence that backed you up. Right. And if you like JJ McCarthy, it's not always a lot most weeks, but you usually get a little bit that makes you think, maybe this guy can do something. And the people, the team, the organization that has invested more in the idea that JJ McCarthy is that guy and is going to be that guy are the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, which is why I think they're going to have the longest leash of anybody relative to how we might feel about it on the outside.
I mean, this is so weird, but like I feel like there's just so many quarterbacks that have different developmental tracks now. Like even look at like Bryce Young today with like 448 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's someone who's like essentially out of the league. And he's like, we're getting now careen toward the debate that we had last year of like, what is he the starting quarterback again? To your point, Bill, I just feel like we don't really know enough about McCarthy. But today was the first day. And again, you did lead that game-winning drive when you're watching it, where you're like, today felt hopeless. It actually felt hopeless watching him play football. He did not look like close to prepared to be a starting quarterback today.
Yeah.
But then he won almost.
He almost won.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Wins are QB stat, as we all know.
I think it's a little aggressive just because there are no other options. I think that they are going to be looking to make some moves later, but like this season, I guess to Bill's point,
I think they might bench him. I really do.
All right. For Max.
Do you think they shadow benched him before with the ankle?
I mean, no.
When he's jumping over the guy on the sideline?
I don't. I mean, I know I get why you could. I don't know. I tend not to be conspiracy theory type of guy. Like, I think that there are some things, but like that's a leap to take right there.
I do believe Kyler was shadow benched. That one I believe. But these people used a first round pick. They traded up twice. They made a trade that they didn't even use the picks from that trade, and then made a second trade to go get JJ McCarthy. He has always been the guy they wanted, and even they weren't going to shadow bench him after 2 starts. Kyler's a totally different case. JJ McCarthy was actually hurt.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that he looks hurt now still and continues to struggle.
It's just like, to that point, Bill, like it just feels like you don't want Justin Jefferson to be A.J. Brown. You don't want the discontent to start. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And like the situation's so good. And like this has looked so rough at times that, that I just don't know how long we can do that.
All right. Well, again, I'll end this on this particular point. For who? This is so aggressive. We keep saying this.
Question.
Like, I get it. Like, no one is.
Rosmer.
Yeah, you don't know anything about him.
I just know there was that beat reporter who said that they might not want to put Brosmer in because it might make McCarthy look bad.
That one beat reporter, that one time is your scout.
Okay. Given that we have seen so many different quarterbacks succeed in this offense, though.
Yeah.
Charlie, do you feel like just subbing in any like third string NFL quarterback would be better than what they've gotten from JJ McCarthy? Because I think that's a defensible argument.
No.
That's what you're making.
No. I mean,
Charlie?
Any of them no, but some of them yes.
There are some who also cannot complete the drives or the plays that he's made. Like the story last week about him, or the week before about him, was like he makes these loud plays. And while it's bad every other time, there are these plays that are particularly good. Like there are some people who make bad plays and then don't make the loud play at the end. Whatever alter ego thing he's got going on, it works for him to be able to erase it and make some plays and important. That's how we were introduced to him at the beginning of the season. That's the one thing that's been sustainable. While it's not enough, I think, to have a career as a starting quarterback, it's enough to stave off Max Brosner. That's all I think. Like, I think
Brosmer. You got to give him
Brosner.
You've been giving them like Pierce Brosnan, but
I'm sorry.
Oh, suave. You didn't tell me this dude was suave back in. He's like that guy at the scene of the Louvre.
Max Brosmer,
theft, all dressed up fancy.
Apologies, Max Brosmer.
But he's tall. He's got to be tall. He's 6'1". That's tall for me.
That's not tall.
I mean, yeah. I will say good on JJ McCarthy that he said he could only feed the wolf in certain spurts, and he fed the wolf in the game-winning, the theoretical game-winning drive. He didn't feed the wolf too early today, but yeah, it's not great. Dominic, who's the worst quarterback you played with? Did you guys ever just hate your quarterback?
No.
This is going to be a mean conversation.
Oh, no, I never had a bad, like...
You made the playoffs like every...
Yeah, I made the playoff every year but one. Like Jake Plummer, then Jay Cutler, then Matt Ryan, then Joe Flacco. Like that was my career. Like it was no Hall of Famers, but I mean they're all above average quarterbacks.
I was hoping you had one where you guys were like, we're really sick of this.
Nah, I don't know. Yeah, I've never had that experience. I don't know what that's like. I was prepared to have that experience when I went to Atlanta, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. Matt Ryan.
I mean, it did work out, so we didn't have that situation.
Do you think the Bears are lucky or good? Sorry, we can do this really quick and then wrap. I don't want to end on such a sour note with
I mean, I think so you think this is going to be a upbeat note?
If you think they're good, yes. That's on you.
You think they're good? Like I think if you ask me on the
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think they're good.
I think they're a little. I think what I took away from this game was a little disappointing for me because last week the way that Caleb played was really encouraging and exciting, and then this week it was not.
See, last week you thought they were good.
Yeah, I mean, last week I thought he was good. This week it was less that. So yeah, this was not the upbeat note that you were looking for. Not from me at least. Bill, you got a way to put a positive spin on it?
Nope. Don't try to throw me in the positive at the Bears thing. They are a team that is pulling out some close victories against some very mediocre football teams. They beat the Commanders by a point. They beat the Raiders by a point. They beat the Bengals by 5. They beat the Giants by 4. And guess what? They are going to get Mason Rudolph and the Pittsburgh Steelers next week. And guess what they're going to do? Pull out like a 3-point victory. They're going to have Ben Johnson in the locker room screaming and cursing. And I am going to have zero faith in the Chicago Bears. This is not a good football team. It is a lucky football team. And it's better to be lucky than good, as the Chiefs can tell you. But let's not be unrealistic here.
We can end on this. Can I tell Chicago Bears fans something?
Okay.
Enjoy it now.
You think they are progression candidates for next year?
Please don't get over your skis. Just enjoy your time right now. You're a winning football team. 7-3. Look, you just open up ESPN.com, go to the standings tab, and look at 7-3 and be like, my life has changed. Enjoy these moments. For the love of God, enjoy it.
Charlie is the grizzled old man seeing like high school teens having fun at Chipotle, and he walks over and says, "These are the best days of your life."
Wait till you get you one of these. My 2024 NFC Championship game ring.
You don't get a ring for going
making it
and give it up.
I was doing the Friday Night Lights. Wait till you get yourself one of these.
Oh man, it's so sad. All right, well, enjoy it while you have it. All of us, I guess, should take that note. Thank you, Bill, for joining us. Thanks to all the great producers. Thank you, Charlie. This is the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Podville, I love you. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.